All right, we're back again. I wanted to talk a little bit about how women gaslight men online. And I want to talk about first how the topic even came up. I was sticking my nose into places where I was bored today, and I probably shouldn't have, but I got called a lot of names for my trouble. There was a post from Forbes that was talking about how Mackenzie Bezos was donating all of these billions and got $38 billion from divorce with Jeff Bezos. And I had said, I don't think anyone deserves that much money from a divorce. And that was grounds for my obvious misogyny, my obvious mommy issues, the fact that I'm a little boy and I'm threatened by powerful women. That's what I got told for just saying I don't think anyone deserves that much money from a divorce. Because here's the other thing. If they're worth that much money, then I think clearly they could be paying their employees a little bit better too, instead of hoarding all of that money at the top. Now, I fully admit, yeah, sure, she probably helped him on the way up for sure, right? But the thing is anyone really worth that much from a divorce? Should anyone be having that much money, period? I don't know. These are all good questions if you ask me. But the point of me making this is all I did was say, I don't think anyone should get that much money from a divorce. And I got called a misogynist. I got called a little boy. I got called threatened by powerful women. I have mommy issues. And what are all these things? They're just a way to discredit you, to try to guilt and shame you, to try to confuse you, and in other words, just to make you feel bad about yourself. That's why in this day and age, it's super important to have an awesome belief in yourself because gaslighting's the norm now, especially in online communication. Gaslighting is the norm. So if you are messing around and don't have a good belief in yourself, you're going to start believing these gaslighters. You're going to believe, oh, maybe I am just a little boy. Oh, maybe I do have mommy issues. Or maybe I am a misogynist. It's like, no, believe in yourself. Because here's the quote of the day here. It's possible to criticize a woman and not be a misogynist. Let me say that again. It's possible to criticize a woman and to not be a misogynist. There's a lot of gray area, a lot of nuance in between those two positions. Are there misogynists in the world? Absolutely. Are there people with mommy issues in the world? Absolutely. But here's the thing about it here. And I was talking to my little brother about this the other day. Like, there's a toxic part of MGTOW, and there's just as much a toxic part of feminism. The difference is, one is way more socially acceptable than the other. The feminists, they can rant and rave about the patriarchy and men all day, and it won't matter. They're allowed to do so because that viewpoint is the base. That's baseline. That's acceptable thinking. But if you were to switch the genders and you see a MGTOW person criticizing women, then all of a sudden all hell breaks loose and it becomes a fiasco. So the two groups, they do similar things, but the point is the women, they're able to get away with so much more because not everyone. And here's the thing, imagine if a guy were to say to a woman that was doing some crazy things, oh, look at all your daddy issues. Oh, look, you're just a little girl. It's like, it wouldn't go over nearly as well. And I imagine if a guy were to say those things, then all of a sudden there'd be a whole slew of white knights lining up to defend the lady. There'd be a whole slew of other women calling that guy a misogynist, calling that guy a little boy, someone who has mommy issues. And it's just annoying. And I'm having a hard time just ignoring it these days. Because on one hand, I say, yeah, lions don't lose sleep over the opinion of sheep. Yes. But on the other side, I would say, bad things happen when good people do nothing. And so I see all of this gaslighting all the time. And it's just annoying. And I want to stand up and try to counteract all the gaslighting that I see because it's rampant. And I think a lot of it has to do with an epidemic of narcissism. And look at it. Look at all the people out there on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, that Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is, people just glued to their phones and glued to the attention that the phones bring them. And don't get it twisted, the irony that I'm here talking to you on YouTube is not lost on me either. But it's an epidemic. And worst of all than that part of the epidemic is all the gaslighting and the nonsense that comes with it. It's just second nature. It's second nature for them just to gaslight you. And that's abuse. That's verbal abuse. Gaslighting is verbal abuse. And it's sad that that kind of verbal abuse has become the standard. It's become the norm. And usually, where do these discussions take place? What do they take place about? They take place about politics. They take place about interpersonal dynamics, rich versus poor, race. When it comes to any number of those issues, not many people are able to just have a healthy conversation, a discussion of viewpoints, and while addressing each other's points and not attacking each other personally. It takes a level of emotional maturity to do that. And online, it seems like the vast majority of people just don't have that level of emotional maturity, emotional maturity, excuse me. Now, granted, I think some of these conversations would go a little bit better if they were in person, but the buffer of online communication, I think people just go straight to abuse. And maybe sometimes it's because they're trolling. Other times it's because they really are that triggered by someone that has a differing viewpoint. And that's the other thing. I'm reading a book right now by Jonathan Haidt and another person. I forget the other author's name. I apologize. But it's called The Coddling of the American Mind. And in The Coddling of the American Mind, they discuss the very first safe space. And the very first safe space was on Brown campus. And it was because there was going to be a debate between two feminists. One feminist believed that there was a grape culture. The other one, who had been actually raped as well, believed that there was not a rape culture. And she said that, oh, if you want to see a grape culture, look at Afghanistan. That's where one is. Now, the safe space was created because people said, I got bombarded with a lot of views that were differing to my strongly held beliefs, and it was very emotional and it was very overwhelming, so we needed a safe space. That was the birth of a safe space. Now, what's the point of me saying that? It's that that is not the right thing to do. The right thing to do is expose people to other people's viewpoints, even and especially if they disagree with your strongly held beliefs, and learn how to emotionally handle it, to listen to it. And it doesn't mean you have to agree with it, but just to listen to it. Listen to what they say and maybe feel whatever you feel on the inside. You feel the turmoil, you feel the angsts, but it's like, I truly believe you can't really agree smartly with any side unless you also know the other side too. You can't make an informed decision about any of these things unless you've heard both sides speak. But all too often right now what happens is people have the echo chamber. They have confirmation bias. And I totally get it. I have some confirmation bias towards a little right of center as well. Mostly temperamentally, that's how I am. Now, I disagree with some things conservatives do for sure. And sometimes I do feel some discomfort when I listen to leftist views. I do. But I push myself through that. I learned that, you know what? I have to brush up on my discussion and argument skills here. I have to learn the whole picture. I have to hear all of the viewpoints, because when I hear all of the viewpoints and as many opinions as I can, then I'm best able to articulate my own opinion while also taking into account everything else. And it feels uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for me to do so sometimes, but I do it anyway. It's essential that we do it anyway. It's essential that we listen to what the other side has to say. In regards to the feminism thing, though, unfortunately, not a lot of them seem just go straight to personal attacks. They go straight to you're the misogynist, You're part of the patriarchy. You are a little boy. You have mommy issues, and there's not much value in that. There's not much value in just listening to gaslighting. Now, if they were to talk and actually have like mature viewpoints, where one person said, when I said I don't think anyone deserves that much from a divorce, they say, oh, well, you're undervaluing families, you're undervaluing children, you're undervaluing her contributions. And it's like, well, when they did their agreement, Mackenzie and Jeff Bezos, she got 25% of the Amazon stock they had, which turned out to be 38 billion. And to me, it's like, does anyone really need 38 billion, including Jeff Bezos? I don't think so. And I also think it's very interesting also that Forbes has been doing this a lot now, been talking about these women in power. But when you see a guy who's a billionaire, you see a lot of these people say, oh, there should be no billionaires because it's a guy. And then all of a sudden they see a woman billionaire, and you don't hear anything like that anymore. What you hear is, oh, women should be supporting women. Strong, powerful women support strong, powerful women. Nowhere do you see oh, maybe there shouldn't be women billionaires anymore. You don't see that. And what do you learn when you don't see that? What you learn is they really don't care about the billionaires. What they care about is this group of people. They care about male billionaires. In particular, they care about white male billionaires. Now notice, you don't see them complaining too much about Oprah being a billionaire or other women who happen to be billionaires. No, you don't hear too much then, but you will hear it when it's a male. So what do you learn? You learn that the problem they have is really just with men being billionaires. That's their problem. So, I mean, I like good incentives, though, for people to do well in this country. It's a good thing that smart, competent people, when they give more to society, get compensated. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you that I think Bezos could probably have been paying his people better at Amazon, because he is most certainly working off the backs of all of his minimum wage employees in their warehouse, not giving them bathroom breaks, trying to prevent them from unionizing. Like, that's ridiculous. Now, Mackenzie Bezos, by default, she also took advantage of what Bezos was doing to all those guys. But if they have that much money between the two of them, you mean to tell me they couldn't be treating their employees better? You mean to tell me they couldn't give them better benefits and a better pension program, and instead tried to do everything in their power to make sure they didn't unionize? It's like, is that really what's going on here? Yes, because that's exactly what happened. They have, if you watch Kyle Kalinski's show, he talks about how they do it. They tell them to look out for union words like organization of labor and to rat them out to their superiors. That's what Amazon's doing. It's pretty rotten, if you ask me. Now, I'm for unions for the most part because I'm all for employees being able to negotiate with one another and negotiate on their behalf to get better wages and benefits. I don't see a problem with that. Now, some people do, and I know that's more of a leftist view, but that's how I see it. So I don't have all conservative right of center beliefs. I do believe employees should unionize, especially when they're not getting a good deal. Not getting a good deal, I'm all for them doing what they can. Now, can unions go too far? Yes, they absolutely can. Because I see, for example, in teacher unions, sometimes the worst of teachers, they get held up from the union, but they don't necessarily help the quality sometimes. So it's a nuanced discussion to be had. But back to the original topic here, how women gaslight men. That's how they do it. They take it to the bilateral extreme, and they think something like, what they're saying is, you can't criticize a woman without being a misogynist, without being a little boy, without having mommy issues. And it's just not true. So I wanted to make sure I say something, because this is happening rampantly. It happens all the time. Now, do men gaslight women too? Of course they do. That's true too. And when I see examples of that, I will talk about that too. But I saw examples of this today, so I wanted to get it out there because, especially since I learned radical self-respect, I can't stand it when people get gaslighted. I can't stand it because it's abuse. It's abuse that's supposed to make someone feel terrible about themselves. And it's just not warranted for just having a different opinion. A different opinion does not warrant being abused. So if you're out there and you're listening to this and you're tempted to gaslight someone because they have a differing view, it's like, stop, reflect. Dr. Romney said something where she doesn't believe that hurt people hurt people. What she believes is that hurt people who lack self-awareness and who are reactive, they hurt people. So we gotta expose ourselves to differing views, expose ourselves to differing ideas. It might be uncomfortable, but that's where growth is. Growth is where uncomfortability is. You got to get uncomfortable in order to be comfortable. So that's the path to growth. We got to do it. So I wanted to make sure I talked about this today because, like I said, I don't like seeing anyone gaslighted. I don't like seeing people guilted and shamed for no reason. But it's like, know it. Know it for what it is. Recognize it. And then move on with your day. Because it's not worth it to get caught up on it. So thanks for watching here, everyone. I got another video I think I'm going to do here soon about, it's also going to be something about Reddit. But I can't remember what the topic is. Oh, it's about Reddit and fathers. Or Reddit and two parents. And how they don't really care about two parents or fathers. And to me, that's also troubling. But with that, keep an eye out for that. And have a great rest of your day.